metering service. Ordinance 589, 2026, by council members Slife and Griffin, by departmental request, to amend Section 3 of Ordinance 884, 2023, relating to professional consultants to provide on-call planning services. Ordinance 591, 2026, by council members Bishop and Griffin, by
I got a quorum. Where's Life at? Where'd he disappear to? He did. Yep. We got one more. See, Bishop on his way in. Yeah. Bishop's on his way in. Yeah, the coffee was cut out. Yeah, but don't worry about it. I don't know, cause I was. No, I'm good. That's what it is. Is he on his way in? Yeah, I noticed it. Today is Monday, May 18, 2026. This Committee of Finance, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion is called to order. Madam Clerk, please call the roll. Here. Present. Thank you. We're going to start out in order. First, we got ordinance number 1406-2025 as amended by council members Bishop, Polincic, Hairston, and Griffin by departmental request, an emergency ordinance determining the method of making the public improvement of repairing, constructing, and installing various speed tables citywide for traffic calming and pedestrian safety purposes, and authorizing the Director of Public Works to enter into one or more public improvement contracts for the making of the improvement. And the amendment reads as follows. There is no legal objection to this legislation if amended as follows. 1, in Section 5, at the end, insert the Director of Public Works as appropriate shall provide written notice to the Clerk of Council whenever any purchase is made under this section, which notice shall include the details of any such cooperative purchases. Director or Commissioner Mavick? Here, let me see.
Through the chair, with us is our new Assistant Director of Public Works, Patrick Dugan. I also brought Joe Sarabian. He's the manager of our speed table program. So this legislation will allow the division and department to enter into a contract for the purposes of installation of speed tables citywide. So.
Okay. 1 second. Ms. Majesto, could you come here for a minute? I'm a little confused real quick. Just trying to make sure I got the amendment, the right amendment. Why are these different than these? This is different than this.
This is that one payroll thing, and this is to change the funding source.
Okay.
You want them this added in now.
So that's a second amendment.
Yes, because it's fixing the original.
Okay. All right. All right. We do have one more amendment. I'm going to ask if my colleague can proffer that amendment.
Sure, I'll make the motion, and then if we could discuss, it would move to, in Section 4, strike shall be charged against the proper appropriation accounts and insert 10,400 and 10,166.
And just so everybody knows, these are, if I'm not mistaken, for a commissioner, these are for the money that we put forth with ARPA dollars, right? So what we want to do is to make sure instead of it having to go to multiple sources, make sure that we use the dollars that we allocated for them.
To the chair, that yes, this is for using the ARPA funds plus any other funds that are added into to allow us to go.
Oh, so it may even be NEF funds or anything else.
Correct.
Is that what?
That's the sub-fund one, yeah.
So that's the sub-fund number. Okay, so that's the sub-fund number too. So this amendment covers the NEF sub-fund and the other ARPA dollars.
Correct.
Okay, all right. So I think we got it. Do we have a second for that amendment?
I'll second.
Councilwoman Santana has seconded that amendment. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Please proceed, Commissioner.
So once again, this is to allow us to go out for a contract in order to install speed tables using either the ARPA funds or any other identified funds.
Okay. Any other questions
I just
regarding
have a quick
Councilwoman Santana?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through the chair, to maybe Commissioner Erdro. After this passes, what's the timeline for the installations?
Through the chair, the council member, so we still have to go out to bid. We don't have the legislation that allows us to go out for contract just yet. We have all the documents and everything ready to go. It's just a matter of having that legislation. So generally, that process is 2 to 3 months before we actually have a signed contract.
So you don't, through the chair, you have no contracts for any streets in the city of Cleveland as of now?
Through the chair, we did put out 2 requisitions and have POs just to try to get an understanding of how much these would cost. So yeah, we do have 2 POs currently, and potentially could go out to bid under 50,000 for additional ones, just to try to keep the program moving if we needed to.
Okay. And through the chair, I know that when we last met, you talked about the different costs. If a street is being resurfaced and you install the speed tables, what is the difference cost? I mean, based on
Through the
your
chair, the
conversations?
council member, so currently streets is estimated at 5,000 per table, and they're the folks that are doing the resurfaced streets. Right now, we're estimating that going out to contract, it'll be anywhere between 7,000 and 8,000 per unit.
Got it, thank you. And I would just say this, Council President, I'm sure you're getting the same thing. The cause for speed tables all across our wards is outrageous. And I know that residents are just frustrated because they don't qualify, but speeding is just at a whole nother level. But thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Polinsik.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To follow up on Councilwoman Santana's comments, it is correct. We are being bombarded with requests for speed tables because, unfortunately, Cleveland Police Department is not doing traffic enforcement in our neighborhoods. That's become very clear to all of us. I mean, I see it constantly. I had the complaints over the weekend about issues with traffic and just disregard for public peace and everything else. But as I raised at the last committee hearing, those of us who were told to send requests into city planning, that's where we were told to submit them. What happened to all those streets that we submitted?
To the chair, the council member, we took over the program in late 2025.
Yeah.
Dro worked with the planning department and everyone that took those requests prior to us taking over that program. And I'm not exactly sure what requests you may have had, but to my understanding is everything had been reconciled, and we have a map in all the locations.
But no, it hasn't been. So, you know, if it's, as like Councilwoman Santana said, if a street didn't qualify, then why weren't we told that this street doesn't qualify for the following reasons? All we were asked to submit streets, which we did, and then we never heard anything more until we see this legislation with various locations, but there was no communication to the majority council members.
So again, through the chair of the council member, we have set up individual meetings with council folks to go over the list
Right.
and some of the requests. I know you made that an issue at the last committee, and I
Right.
think Joe has reached out. So we'll sit down and go through that list.
But, Mr. Chairman, I'm going to leave it at that. Here's a good example where on a program such as this, we're going to have to break it up by ward, a set amount of money per ward, because you can see what's happened here. Some wards have gotten a lion's share of the speed tables, and other wards haven't. And okay, I can understand, and you could justify to me if you can say to me, Councilman Polensek, this is the reason why this street does not qualify. I can live with that, because then I can forward it over to my constituents. But to get no response back, after you submit streets, no consideration, no response back, I find it really troubling. And so, again, Mr. Chairman, I'm just expressing myself that in the future, I think funds such as this are going to have to be divided by ward, so you can have some fairness and equity here, because here we go again. You got winners and losers, which should not be the case.
Through the chair of the council member, so as part of the ARPA dollars, we are looking to do at least 4 to 6 per ward out of those funds, and those are the streets that do qualify and do meet the criteria. So we are working very hard to do that. We don't have each ward with that set amount just yet, but we are working on that.
Okay.
And moving forward, we'll definitely reach out to you. I think that handoff may have been done better, so I'll take responsibility for that. But the reality is, moving forward,
Okay. So-
this body will understand and know which ones do qualify
So,
and which
Mr.
ones
Chairman, to the viewing public, briefly, what qualifies a street and what does not? Because a lot of people believe you can put a speed table on every street.
So through the chair of the council member and the body, we've been talking about what qualifies, and the numbers are basically anything that runs between 1,000 and 4,000 average daily traffic. That's the number
So
one
that's
criteria.
cars a day.
Cars a day. Number two is, what is the average speeds? So if the average speed is 1 mile per hour over the posted speed limit, usually on a residential street is 25.
Yes.
That's another criteria. The last one is the 85th percentile. That means 85% of the traffic that's on the street is going this speed or lower, and that's at 31 miles an hour. Back when we were developing this program, currently Director Mayersman and myself contacted several different agencies, whether they be state agencies or
Yeah.
city agencies, to look at what their criteria is and mirrored ours to match up with what was happening throughout the country and how they determined qualifying or approved locations for speed tables.
Okay. Then I would ask you again, respectfully through the chair, to direct to all members of council, again, what the criteria is so we can disseminate that to our citizens, because I'm telling you, I'm speaking on behalf of my colleagues, every meeting we go to, we're being asked for speed tables. We're being asked for traffic enforcement, and it's not happening in the city. And it comes a point where there has to be some middle ground here. If you're not going to do traffic enforcement, CPD, then provide us the revenue and the resources to put into speed tables. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Any other questions regarding 1406-2025 as amended? Seeing no other questions, ordinance number 1406-2025 as amended stands approved. Please sign on. Thank you. And I want to implore my colleagues to be cognizant that we have a significant amount of legislation. So I want us to try to get through and vet as much as we can, as fast as we can. Thank you. This is ordinance number 551-2026 by council members Casey and Griffin by departmental request, an emergency ordinance authorizing the Director of Public Utilities to enter into one or more requirement contracts without competitive bidding with North Coast Process Controls, Inc. for proprietary valves, actuators, appurtenances, and other components of the valve actuator systems and labor and materials needed to repair, replace, maintain, exercise, inspect, and test existing equipment, and to provide related services for the Division of Water, Department of Public Utilities for a period of 2 years. Director.
Thank you, Chairman, members of the committee. At the division, Cleveland Water, throughout the water treatment plants and the distribution network, there are hundreds and hundreds of valves. But primarily at the water treatment plants, those valves are opened and closed by a small motor called an actuator. A number of those actuators are of the model of Rotork or Versa, who has a proprietary vendor in our region, which is North Coast Process Controls, integral to providing potable water, and we request authority to continue that relationship.
Okay. Any questions? I talked to Councilman Casey. This is a utilities piece. This has been vetted and approved by the committee. Do we have any questions regarding ordinance number 551-2026? Seeing no other questions, ordinance number 551-2026 stands approved. Please sign on. Next ordinance is, and this has an amendment with it. Ms. Majesto, was this proffered by 624? Was this proffered by Councilman Casey or the Utilities Committee? It's just what? All right, I do it. I just a bunch of amendments for, I don't know where they come from. Okay. 624-2026.
May I?
Councilman Slife.
Could I recommend that maybe this body pass separate legislation that indicates that all purchases made under cooperative agreements or cooperative purchases shall include a written notification to the clerk? And I'm wondering if they're for just across the board. And I'm wondering if there's a way that we don't have, so that we can't do that right at this moment. But I think that'd be a holistic fix to all of these amendments.
I agree, because these amendments, and I don't like, I mean, when committees, the chair actually passed it out just to amend his piece, I don't really feel comfortable. So I think if we take Councilman Slife's advice, then I think that's the way we should probably approach it in the future, okay? All right, so this is ordinance number 624-2026 by council members Casey and Griffin by departmental request, an emergency ordinance authorizing the director of public utilities to employ one or more professional consultants to assist in the management of program year 5 of the city's project and replacing various lead and galvanized service lines, authorizing the purchase by one or more requirement and/or standard contracts of copper service lines, copper connections, and related appurtenances, included but not limited to materials, labor, and installation, if necessary, for the Division of Water, and authorizing the Director of Public Utilities and/or the Director of Finance to apply for and accept one or more water supply revolving loan account loans, grants, and funding, and other funding. Director.
Thank you, Chairman. This is year 5 for Cleveland Water's submission of the federal bipartisan infrastructure law bill that was signed in November of 2021, which granted $926 million to the state by and through the Ohio EPA for lead service line removal. This is year 5, and we are continuing our aggressive approach to pursuing these dollars. These dollars are 53% forgivable, 47% loan on a 0% 20-year basis. We are seeking here for year 5 we're going to submit to the state of Ohio for $150 million. We have split the contracts up as best we could to diversify the vendor pool. We do anticipate breaking this up into approximately 15 different contracts, which are listed in the legislation because that is required by the Ohio EPA, and then an additional 5 contracts for the materials to replace the lead service connections. Requesting approval.
Thank you. Once again, this was duly vetted in the Public Utilities. Councilman Casey is approved for it. Do we have any questions? Councilman Slife?
Council President, I move to amend the ordinance by inserting at the end of Section 7, the Director of Public Utilities, as appropriate, shall provide written notice to the Clerk of Council whenever any purchase is made under this section, which notice shall include the details of any such cooperative purchases.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Councilwoman Santana has seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing no further discussion, ordinance number 624-2026 stands approved. Please sign on. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman.
Appreciate it. All right, next up is health. Is health here? Health? See, always do that. Then I move on. You was this close to having to wait till the latter part of the day. All right. Ordinance number 585-2026 by Councilmembers Conwell and Griffin by departmental request. An emergency ordinance authorizing the Director of Public Health to enter into one or more contracts with Ohio Public Health Association to provide temporary staffing of registered environmental health specialists for the Division of Environment, Department of Public Health for a period of up to 1 year with one option to renew for an additional period of 1 year, exercisable by the Director of Health. Director.
Thank you, Chair, Committee. So this is legislation you've given us in the past. It's a contingency for us to be able to hire part-time health inspectors for when we get to our busy periods and need to hit our deadlines.
Thank you. Councilman Conwell was the chair. It was duly vetted. This passed out of Health and Human Services. Is there any questions regarding 585-2026? Seeing no other questions, ordinance number 525-2026 stands approved. Next is ordinance number 592-2026 by Councilmembers Conwell and Griffin by departmental request, an emergency ordinance authorizing the Director of Public Health to apply for and accept a grant from the Ohio Department of Health for the Title V program. Title 10 program, authorizing the Director to charge and accept fees, entering into one or more agreements to receive payments from Medicare, Medicaid, Medicaid HMOs, and other third-party insurers, and authorizing contracts with various entities, requirement contracts, professional services, and advertising contracts necessary to implement the grant. Director.
Thank you. Through the chair, we come every few years to you to accept and spend money from the Ohio Department of Health for our clinical services in the health centers, reproductive health care services.
Thank you. Once again, this passed out of Health and Human Services and Arts Committee. Do we have any questions regarding 592-2026? Seeing no other questions, ordinance number 592-2026 stands approved. Thank you. Public safety. First one with public safety is ordinance number 553-2026 as amended by Council Members Polinsik and Griffin by departmental request. An emergency ordinance authorizing the purchase by one or more requirement contracts of replacement firefighter high-rise kits for the Division of Fire, Department of Public Safety, for a term of 1 year with 2 one-year options to renew, exercisable by the Director of Public Safety. Director.
Thank you, Council President, Chair. I have with me Acting Chief Nada, if there's any questions.
Let me read the amendment if I could. There is no legal objection to this legislation if amended as follows. In Section 3, at the end, insert Director of Public Safety shall provide written notice to the Clerk of Council wherever any purchase is made through the cooperative process, which notice shall include the details of such cooperative purchases. Dated 5/13/26, signed by Nicholas Delaney, Assistant Director of Law. Please proceed.
This legislation will authorize the Division of Fire to purchase high-rise kits. The Division of Fire will be transitioning to a new system for these high-rise kits, which will replace the division's currently outdated kits. This equipment is critical to the operations of the Division of Fire. Purchase of the equipment is for an amount not to exceed $170,750 and will be funded through a capital project fund.
Thank you. Councilman Polinsik?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we heard from the Safety Committee and we passed this unanimously.
Do we have any other questions regarding 553-2026? Seeing no other questions, ordinance number 553-2026 as amended stands approved. Please sign on. Next up is ordinance number 555-2026 as amended by Council Members Polinsik and Griffin by departmental request. An emergency ordinance authorizing the Director of Public Safety to apply for and accept a grant from the Ohio Office of Criminal Justice Services for the fiscal year 2025 Ohio Drug Law Enforcement Fund grant for the operation of the Cartel Gang Narcotics and Laundering Task Force, formerly known as the Northern Ohio Law Enforcement Task Force, and authorizing the director to enter into agreements with the Cuyahoga County Sheriff's Office and other entities to implement the grant. Director.
Thank you, Council Chair. So, this legislation would authorize the Director of Public Safety to apply for and accept a grant in the amount of $249,567.92 from the Ohio Office of Criminal Justice Services for fiscal year 25 Ohio Drug Law Enforcement Fund Grant Program. This grant has a cash match requirement of $83,189.33, which will be funded by the police operating budget for a total budget of $332,757.25. And we have people here if council has any questions.
Thank you. Councilman Polinsik.
Mr. Chairman, we heard this in the Safety Committee. Excuse me. We heard this in the Safety Committee, was passed unanimously. We had asked for some additional statistics and information, and we're about to get that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions regarding 555-2026 as amended? Seeing no other questions, ordinance number 555-2026 as amended stands approved. Please sign on. Thank you. City Planning. This is ordinance number 1218-2025 as amended by council members Hairston, Bishop, and Griffin by departmental request, determining the method of making the public improvements of constructing high-comfort pedestrian and bicycle improvements at various locations, authorizing the Director of City Planning Commission, Public Works, and/or Capital Projects as appropriate to enter into one or more public improvement and professional services contracts needed for the improvement, authorizing the mayor and the commissioner of purchases and supplies to acquire, accept, and record for right-of-way purposes, real property, and easements, authorizing the director to accept rights of entry from real property owners. Private property owners, authorizing the director to enter into various written standard purchase and requirement contracts needed to effectuate this ordinance, including vehicles and equipment, and to enter into other agreements or execute documents necessary to conduct the program. And the amendment states as follows. There is no legal objection to this legislation if amended as follows. 1, in Section 6 at the end, insert, the Director of City Planning Commission shall provide written notice to the Clerk of Council whenever any purchase is made under this section, which notice shall include the details of any such cooperative purchases. Number 2, in Section 12, line 1, after shall insert not exceed $6,815,532 and shall, number 3, insert a new section 13 to read as follows. Section 13, that a copy of an executive summary has been placed in file number 1218-2025-A. Number 4, renumber existing sections 13 and 14 to new section 14 and section 15, dated 10/17/25, signed by Nicholas Delaney, Assistant Director of Law. Director.
Thank you very much, Council President. Good afternoon. This legislation gives multiple departments the authority to implement a grant application and grant funds received through NOACA for the Congestion Mitigation and Air Quality Grant. There are two primary components of this grant project. The first is building out key bikeway gaps as recommended in the Cleveland Moves Plan. Specifically, these gaps both connect our bicycle network as well as incorporate and implement key street safety elements and needs in key sections of our roadway. This grant also includes funding for 4 electric refuse vehicles and 2 charging stations as a pilot with the Division of Waste. And joining me here today for any additional questions or to speak in more detail to these 2 project components are Sarah Davis, our Senior Transportation Manager, and Director Sarah O'Keefe of the Mayor's Office of Sustainability.
Thank you. This is heard in 3 different committees.
Yes,
Councilwoman Santana.
So we had a robust conversation, fully vetted and approved by DPS committee, and then it was also heard in municipal and utilities.
Okay. Councilman Bishop?
Yes, Mr. President, we vetted this in MSP and we fully recommend it for passage.
All right. Do we have any other questions with ordinance number 1218-2025 as amended? Seeing no questions, ordinance number 1218-2025 as amended stands approved. Please sign on. Next is ordinance number 1417-2025 by council members Hairston and Griffin by departmental request, an emergency ordinance approving certain modifications and amendments to the St. Vincent's Center project number Ohio R-13 urban renewal plan with respect to releasing a permanent parcel from the area boundaries. Director.
Thank you, Council President and Committee. This piece of legislation is organizing some paperwork for CMHA redevelopment in the St. Vincent area. This piece and part of the city was formerly locked up in the St. Vincent Center Urban Renewal Plan, which was adopted in 1958, which recommended or stated specific uses for parcels in this area. This piece of legislation removes that recommendation from that 1958 Urban Renewal Plan to allow CMHA to have a clean title to property, which they have already developed under the Sankofa Phase 4 development for housing in this area.
Thank you. Councilman Santana, this passed out of Development, Planning, and Sustainability.
Yes, Council President, fully vetted and approved, recommended for
Thank you. Councilman Starr, are you in support of this legislation? This is in Ward 5. Yes. All right. Any other questions regarding ordinance number 1417-2025? Seeing no other questions, ordinance number 1417-2025 stands approved. Thank you. Community development. All right, this is ordinance number 464-2026 by Council Members Santana and Griffin by departmental request, an emergency ordinance authorizing the Director of Community Development to administer the Community Engagement Healthy Home Initiative to enter into one or more contracts with various community development corporations for the purpose of hiring community engagement specialists by neighborhood to improve the quality of life for residents and the city's housing stock, to enter into professional services contracts for training to conduct the initiative, and to make purchases of materials, equipment, supplies, and services needed to conduct the initiative. Director.
Not much new to report here from year to year. My presentation from DPS has all the changes in it.
Thank you. Councilwoman Santana?
Yes, Mr. Chair, we had a robust conversation, fully vetted and recommended for passage.
Thank you. Are there any other questions regarding 464-2026? There is an amendment, and I'm going to ask if my colleague, Councilman Slife, can proffer the amendment.
Yes, sir. I move to insert at the end of section 5, quote, "The Director of Community Development, as appropriate, shall provide written notice to the Clerk of Council whenever any purchase is made under this section, which notice shall include the details of any such cooperative purchases."
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Councilwoman Santana. Is there any discussion? Call the question. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Therefore, 464-2026 as amended stands approved. Next up is ordinance number 518-2026 by Council Members Santana and Griffin by departmental request, an emergency ordinance to amend sections 2, 3, 5, and 8 of ordinance number 858-2025 passed July 9, 2025 as amended by ordinance number 1225-2025 passed November 10, 2025 relating to budget allocations received from HUD for the 2025 Community Development Block Grant, Home Investment Partnership Act grant, Emergency Solutions Grant, and the Housing Opportunities for Persons with AIDS grant. Director.
So as you are no doubt aware, the department manages several interdepartmental agreements that help us to administer these HUD funds. This amendment only serves to add the Department of Development to that list so that they may enter into contracts that use those HUD dollars. Specifically, these are the home dollars for the Housing Trust Fund projects and some neighborhood development activity grants.
Thank you. Councilwoman Santana.
Fully vetted and recommended for passage.
Thank you. Seeing no other questions, ordinance number, what's that, 518? Ordinance number 518-2026 stands approved. Thank you. Ordinance number 520-2026 by Councilmember Santana and Griffin by departmental request and emergency ordinance authorizing the Director of Community Development to apply for and accept grants from the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development for PY 2026 under the Title I of Housing and Community Development Act of 1974 for the 2026 Community Development Block Grant Program, Federal Home Investment Partnership Act Program, Emergency Solutions Grant Program, and the Housing Opportunities for Persons with AIDS Program. Director.
Thank you. So this is our standard apply and accept legislation for our federal housing and urban development grants. This will be submitted for including our consolidated plan, which is the 5-year planning process that we go through for HUD.
Thank you. Councilman Santana.
Fully vetted and recommended for passage. I will add, Director, if you could just let the council members know what your plan is to ensure that our input is taken and
Will
part
do.
of the 5-year plan.
Will do. We'll work with staff on that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Director. I think that's it for you.
Okay.
Yep. Capital projects. This is ordinance number 351-2026 as amended by council members Hudson, Davis, Bishop, Santana, and Griffin by departmental request. An emergency ordinance authorizing the Director of Capital Projects to enter into an amendment to contract number CT-0103 PS 2023 *0338 with Michael Baker International, Inc. to provide additional design services needed to enhance the scope of the rehabilitation of Lorraine Avenue from West 65th to West 20th Street for the Office of Capital Projects. Commissioner. Let me read the amendment. All right, it says there is no legal objection to this legislation if amended as follows. 1, in section 3, lines 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 in their entirety, and insert 20 SF 597, 20 SF 702, 20 SF 712, and from the fund or funds to which are credited any payment, grant, gift, or other funding accepted under this ordinance. RQS 0103 RL 2022-111. Director.
To the chair, ordinance number 1211-2023 accurately represents the project limit, scope, and funding. However, section 1 includes a reference to PID 89255, and the current project is programmed under PID 105932. To avoid potential unknown issues with removing the PID from section 1, an amendment to the legislation to add the current PID will allow the continuation of the contract with Michael Baker International and also clarify that both PID numbers are recognized by ODOT for the funding program to complete the Lorraine Avenue project.
Thank you. Councilwoman Santana.
Fully vetted and recommended for passage.
Councilman Bishop.
Fully vetted and recommended for passage.
Thank you. Seeing no other questions, ordinance number 351-2026 stands approved. Please sign on. Next is ordinance number 353-2026 as amended by council members Bishop, Santana, and Griffin by departmental request and emergency ordinance giving consent of the city of Cleveland to the Director of Transportation of the State of Ohio to install a dynamic message system, a queue warning system light, queue detection cameras, and associated infrastructure at various locations along IR 90, Interstate Route 90, and Interstate Route I-76 in the city of Cleveland, accepting gifts and grants, acquiring, accepting, and recording necessary rights-of-way, and authorizing agreements. Director.
To the chair, ODOT has arranged for the preparation and construction plans and specification, including engineering reports, project sale, award to the lowest responsible bidder, provide construction supervision and administration of the improvement. The improvements will install a new dynamic message system, queue warning system, light, queue detection cameras, and associated infrastructures at various locations along Interstate 90 and State Route 176. There is no cost to the city in terms of capital or maintenance.
Thank you. Councilwoman Santana, I know you relieved this?
Yeah, we relieved it. I don't think it should have gone to DPS.
Okay.
It was ODOT.
That's fine.
Okay.
All right. Councilman Bishop.
Yes, Mr. President, we vetted this in MSP and fully recommend it for passage.
Thank you. Seeing no other questions, ordinance number 353-2026 as amended stands approved. Please sign on. Next up is ordinance number 365-2026 by council members House, Jones, Bishop, Santana, and Griffin by departmental request. An emergency ordinance authorizing the Director of Capital Projects to issue a permit to Juliet LLC to encroach into the public right-of-way of West 6th Street by installing, using, and maintaining decorative wrought irons, 4x4 steel posts, footers, and a steel canopy. Director.
To the chair, there's an existing patio in front of 1313th West 6th Street that is going to be repurposed for the new restaurant. A new decorative wrought iron enclosure that has been designed to provide a more intimate dining experience. This canopy is influenced by Parisian cafes and will directly relate to the interior of the restaurant.
Thank you. Councilwoman Santana?
Fully vetted and recommended for passage.
Thank you. Councilman Bishop?
Yes, we fully recommend this for passage, Mr. President.
Thank you. Seeing no other questions, ordinance number 365-2026 stands approved. Please sign on.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Commissioner, I'm gonna give you a call so we can follow up about Stokes if we could.
Sure.
Because I don't want to slow things up, but I do have some concerns I want to talk to you about. All right, next up is innovation and technology. This one is ordinance number 584-2026 by Councilmember Griffin by departmental request, authorizing the Director of Innovation and Technology to employ one or more consultants, computer software developers, or vendors, or one or more firms of consultants, computer software developers, or vendors necessary to implement various technology projects, services, and upgrades to existing systems under the 2026 ITS Capital Project Plan, and related professional services to implement the plan, and to enter into various contracts to implement this ordinance. Director and team.
Yeah, good afternoon to the committee. We're here for our annual IT capital ask. So this is the dollar amount we ask for every year. The dollar amount is $10 million. It's remained consistent for the last 4 years. The yeoman's share of this, just about $5 million, $4.9 million is our Microsoft licenses. The next largest bucket is going to be critical infrastructure and our hardware refresh. That's about $1 million. And then the remainder is going to be the professional services and associated technology to help us implement this ordinance. We're open for questions.
Thank you. Have you spent the $10 million every year?
Through the chair to the councilman, yes, we have.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you needed to go over, what would you have to do? Just come back and ask for more money, or what?
That's correct.
Okay. Seeing no other questions, Councilman, we do have an amendment. My apologies. Councilman Slife.
Yes, I move to amend this ordinance as follows. At the end of Section 5, insert the Director of Innovation and Technology as appropriate shall provide written notice to the Clerk of Council whenever any purchase is made under this section, which notice shall include the details of any such cooperative purchases, end quote. Additionally, I move to, or included in this motion, amending Section 7 as follows. After, and I will say the amendments or the new language and then read it in its entirety. After expenditures, insert as outlined in File A shall not exceed $10 million and, end quote, and to strike and shall also be charged against the proper appropriation accounts. This will therefore read that the cost of the contracts, like the cost of these contracts and other expenditures as outlined in File A shall not exceed $10 million and shall be paid from Fund Number 11 SF006. Included in this is taking the list of IT capital projects included here and making it File A of the legislation.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Seconded by Councilwoman Santana. Do we have any discussion?
Chair.
I'll call the question. We'll have discussion during discussion.
Okay.
1 second. Is there any other discussion? I'll let you go ahead with discussion if you have a point.
To the chair, I would just ask, some of these are critical infrastructure purchases, so we would like to see if we could exempt critical infrastructure purchases, such as security, such as our network purchases, such as our firewall purchases. There's a number of things that we purchase for critical infrastructure that we would like to exempt.
Through the chair, I'm not clear on what, I apologize, I'm just not clear on the ask. What we are seeking to do is just to ensure that there is, that the cooperative purchases are notified to the clerk and that the purchases made as outlined here are strict, essentially adhering to what's been provided to us as the IT capital priorities.
And through the chair, if it's outlined as such in what we provided from a bucket perspective, yes, we put that together.
Okay.
I'm fine with that, as long as, because you mentioned detailed information.
No,
So I simply, this was given to us, I
Yes.
think, through the chair
Yes.
as information, and I would
Yes.
just like to make sure that it's attached to the ordinance as a
That's
file.
all it is.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Any other discussion? Seeing no other discussion, I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Seeing no other questions, ordinance number 584-2026 as amended stands approved. Thank you. Next one is ordinance number 630-2026 by council members Casey and Griffin by departmental request, an emergency ordinance to repeal. Commissioner, could you do me a favor, Councilman Palencia? Yes. Could you talk to them for a brief minute? Something they brought up to me last week that I want them to bring up, just real quick, with the team. Okay. All right. Council members Casey and Griffin, and he's my co-sponsor.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
Council members Casey and Griffin, and by departmental request, an emergency ordinance to repeal ordinance number 583-2023, passed October 2, 2023, authorizing the Director of Finance to enter into a development agreement with Sci-Fi Networks, Cleveland, LLC, or its designee, successor, and assignees to install, operate, and maintain a citywide fiber optic network system in the city's public right-of-way. Director.
Through the chair to the councilman, thank you so much. This legislation is something we tried. It has not gone anywhere in the last 2 years. We discussed this through the Utilities Committee that we're going to repeal this legislation, and it's going to open up the opportunities for us to understand what is next.
Thank you. And once again, Councilman Casey has reached out to me and said that this was vetted and approved, and I couldn't agree more. And are there any questions regarding ordinance number 630-2026? Seeing no questions, ordinance number 630-2026 stands approved. Please sign on. And ordinance number 623-2026 by council members Casey and Griffin by departmental request, an emergency ordinance authorizing the Director of Innovation and Technology to cause payment to Digital C for 2025 new household internet subscriptions and new digital adoption services. And I'm going to ask if if Joshua could come join us at the table. Mr. Joshua Edmonds, okay. All right, Director?
Yeah, to the
Yes.
chair, this is the legislation that would authorize the 2025 funding for Digital C. This, as you all know, this is a pay-for-performance contract, so Digital C submits their metrics on an annual basis. We then review the metrics with council and approve the funding on an annual basis. So we received metrics for 2025. We completed an audit of those metrics. Digital C did sufficiently meet those metrics, and we are requesting that the funding be approved.
Thank you. And once again, Councilman Casey has reached out and said that this was duly vetted and approved through utilities. I believe Councilman Chris Harsh would like to make a comment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate a quick moment. As you all know, I've been bird hawking this piece of legislation for a couple of years now, and I just want to thank Mr. Edmonds for inviting us over to the office last week, and Dr. Crow for lending some of her staff, and as well to John Rosewell from the City Council staff. We were able to go over there, look at the data and information, and completely satisfy the interest that we had to verify. As I've been saying, we're in a trust but verify mode, and I want to thank Mr. Edmonds again for letting us come over. The data was presented in a very clear, understandable way, and we were able to confirm that all the work is being done as expected and as stated in the contract. We were also able to sort of illuminate some of the reasons why it's difficult to verify this data in spreadsheets. So I want to just thank Mr. Edmonds for doing that for us. I feel really good about this now, and happy to vote in favor of this. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Councilman Charles Slife.
Thank you, and my question might be better directed to finance. In section 1, it notes that the council's authorizing the payment to Digital C from the funds approved by the Director of Finance. I'm wondering what those funds are. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry to assume.
No assumptions needed. So through the chair to the councilman, at that point, innovation and technology was not a department. And so innovation and technology has taken over the operational management of the contract and is working with Digital C. But at the time, IT was under finance, and so it came through the Director of Finance at the time.
Okay, so there's a follow-up question. Would it be appropriate for it to be the payment coming from the Department of the Director of Finance, or should it be coming from you, the Director of Innovation and Technology?
I would want to triple check that with the lawyers to make sure the wording is correct, but either way is fine by me.
Okay, and
Yeah.
do you, as a follow-up to the follow-up, are these general fund dollars?
These were ARPA dollars.
ARPA
But
dollars.
I will defer. Yeah, these were ARPA dollars, but I'm not sure if they got switched over.
And
on the
remember,
back end.
ARPA funds,
Right.
these are the ARPA fund dollars that were put into the general fund use.
Yes. That's what I'm not exactly sure about. So,
Right.
so this is going to be a finance question. Thanks, guys.
Director Barrett? Or
Through the chair of the
Gentile?
committee, through the chair to the committee members, right now this has loaded 10,400 in it, which was the recovery dollars from ARPA. It kind of gives us leeway to use true ARPA if we have to use true ARPA, because as this year winds down, we're monitoring a couple of vendors that have true ARPA. The anticipation is they will spend it, but if they don't, we're able to pivot, so we don't have to return any money to the feds. So we want to keep the funding kind of the way it is, just in case we have to pivot back to true ARPA versus revenue recovery.
Thank you, if I may. 10,400 would encompass the revolved ARPA, correct?
Through the chair of the
That's
council person, the
that-
10,400, yeah, that's
is
the
the
recovery
end-
money, so that
Right.
doesn't not have to be spent by the end of this year, just the true ARPA.
Could you clarify the subfund for the true ARPA?
I'll have to get you that number. It's 15, but I can't remember exactly what the number is. Let me see. I'll have to get you the actual number. I can't remember what the number is.
Okay.
It's either going to be paid out of one or the other.
Sure. No, I understand
Not the
that.
general
My
fund.
hope was just to be able to, instead of saying from the funds, just say from 10,400 and whatever that number would be.
Yeah, if we could put this one on hold for a minute, we can get that number, and then we can put it in then. Let me try to get the number.
Is that okay with you, Council President?
Can we call Joanne? Yeah, let's get the.
Can I go ahead and can I make a premature motion that we can fill in the gap of once we get that number? Is that kosher?
Is that?
Just for sake of expediency. I guess I'll wait. I'll wait.
I'm happy to stay for whatever we need.
Yeah, we should be able to get it really quick.
Okay.
We'll get the number.
I can't remember exactly.
So he's bringing it right back to us? or-
Yes, he's gonna call downstairs and get
While we're waiting for that, Mr. Edmonds, did you have any comments that you wanted to make regarding Digital C?
To the chair, to the body, we do thank Councilman Harsh for making the visit over to the Tech Hive last week, sharing the data. It's one thing where as we're doing the work in the community, we understand you are the oversight body, so just empowering you all with that information to be able to clearly assess our performance, that matters for both sides of this table today. And I think there's just a broader appreciation. This isn't to throw the administration or Sci-Fi Networks under the bus, but we're hearing about legislation that didn't move from a much larger company than Digital C, and then a scrappy nonprofit over here with less than 40 employees. We're getting it done. And so it is just really a testament, I think, of Cleveland. We are a Cleveland company. We're headquartered here. This is the Cleveland model we've been talking about. So to be able to see what Cleveland can do versus a global company, that's just a testament to the team that we have over at Digital C.
Thank you. Any other questions for?
190?
Up here, yes.
15190, is that it?
Director?
Through the chair to the committee, there's two different ones. There's 15, it's based on the timing of when we receive the funds. So the first one is the 15190. The second one is 15296.
Okay.
Or
So
10-400.
10-400. So,
Yes, that's correct.
Council President, I move to amend the ordinance by inserting in section 1 after as amended, after as amended, comma, from subfund 10400, comma, subfund 15190, comma, and subfund 15296, end quote, and after Director of Finance to add and/or Director of Innovation and Technology.
Mr. Roberts, do you have that? Mr. Robert, have it? Okay, do we have a second for the motion proper? Councilwoman Santana?
Yes, I am. So after, in section 1 of the ordinance, after as amended from, we are striking the funds approved by and inserting the subfund numbers 10-400, 15-190, and 15-296, which is inclusive of the general fund as well as the original ARPA dollars in 2 tranches. And then, given the creation of the Department of Innovation and Technology since the receipt of these funds, we are adding and/or the Director of Innovation and Technology in recognition that that director may be authorizing the payment under an authority that did not exist when this was a division within finance.
Discussion.
Councilman Starr, on that, on the point or on the legislation?
On the amendment.
On the amendment, okay, please move forward.
Yes, to the chair, I would just ask my colleague, what is the context of the amendment? Is it so that we can allow the director to make a decision if they need to go forth with more dollars? And it excludes the CFO? Or what's the point of the amendment for clarification purposes?
Thank you. The intent of the amendment is that the language right now speaks to the expenditure of $4,350,000 from the funds approved by the Director of Finance, but it does not state specifically what those funds are. So it's inserting the fund numbers since that's what those funds are. And then also it's acknowledging that initially IT was under finance, but now IT is a separate department, so it's allowing whether finance or IT is allowing for the payment. It's giving that ability for the director to exercise her director's authority. It just did not exist at the time we began receiving ARPA dollars.
So basically just clearing the
Thank
language.
you.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Starr, you good?
No, thank you. I just wanted to make sure that was clarified.
Okay.
But would that amendment that excludes the CFO from having to do it, or do it adds both of them to be able to have that ability to make the decision?
Thank you. I did an and/or so that I'm personally comfortable leaving that between the directors of which one's more strategic. I did not want to say exclusively one or the other.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Seeing no other questions, ordinance number 623-2026 stands approved. And I want to commend Digital C. I know that You guys, like you said, are a scrappy nonprofit. A lot of people have advocated for you, and Mr. Edmonds, you've shown why they've advocated for you. So appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right. Next is ordinance number 604-2026 by Councilmember Griffin by departmental request, an emergency ordinance authorizing the Director of Finance to employ one or more professional consultants to implement various citywide employee safety programs and other related services, and to enter into various written standard purchase and requirement contracts needed in connection with the programs for various divisions of city government for a period of 1 year, with 2 one-year options to renew exercisable by the Director of Finance. Director.
Yeah, so through the chair to the committee, this is the first of 4 pieces from finance today that are all very similar. We have contracts that are expiring over the next several months for various city services. This one specifically is to allow us to enter into a contract for citywide employee safety programs, specifically safety management, ordering database, safety equipment installation, and support and training around those items, again, for 1 year with 2 one-year renewals through a fully competitive bid process.
Thank you. Are there any questions regarding ordinance number 604-2026? Seeing no questions, ordinance number 604-2026 stands approved. Please sign on. Next up is ordinance number 606-2026 by Councilmember Griffin by departmental request, an emergency ordinance authorizing the Director of Finance to enter into various written standard purchase and requirement contracts to provide building construction materials, equipment, supplies, and services, including labor for the various divisions of city government for a period of 1 year, with 2 one-year options to renew, exercisable by the Director of Finance. Director.
Through the chair of the committee, this is the second of the 4 pieces. Essentially, we have some contracts coming due. This legislation is to enter into a contract for citywide building construction materials and supplies, so equipment, labor, supplies, building materials, for 1 year with 2 one-year options to renew through a fully competitive process.
Thank you. Are there any questions regarding 606-2026? Seeing no questions, ordinance number 606-2026. Oh, 1 second, we do have an amendment.
Sorry, I was getting a sip of water since I apparently have tuberculosis. I move to amend the ordinance as follows. At the end of section 2, inserting the Director of Finance as appropriate shall provide written notice to the Clerk of Council whenever any purchase is made under this section, which notice shall include the details of any such cooperative purchases.
Second. Amendment has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, I'll call the question. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Please sign on to 606-2026. Next is ordinance number 607-2026 by Councilmember Griffin by departmental request, an emergency ordinance authorizing the Director of Finance to enter into various written standard purchase and requirement contracts for the purchase of industrial paper products, cleaning and janitorial maintenance equipment, materials, supplies, and moving services for various divisions of city government for a period of 1 year, with 2 one-year options to renew, exercisable by the Director of Finance. Director.
Through the chair to the committee, same situation as the last 2 pieces. This is to request permission to enter into contract for industrial paper, cleaning and janitorial supplies across the city, period of 1 year with 2 one-year options to renew through a fully competitive process.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions regarding it? Councilman Slife, you want to proffer the amendment?
I'd love to, thank you. At the end of section 2, I'd like to amend the ordinance by inserting the Director of Finance as appropriate shall provide written notice to the Clerk of Council whenever any purchase is made under this section, which notice shall include the details of any such cooperative purchases.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Amendment has been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, I'll call the question. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Please sign on. Ordinance number 607-2026 as amended stands approved. Next is ordinance number 608-2026 by Councilmember Griffin by departmental request, an emergency ordinance authorizing the Director of Finance to enter into one or more written standard purchase contracts and requirement contracts for the necessary items of unarmed uniformed security guard services and the necessary items of materials, equipment, supplies, and services needed for citywide electronic protection, shredding, and document destruction, including installation, training, labor, and materials, if necessary, for the various divisions of city government for a period of 1 year with 2 one-year options to renew, exercisable by the Director of Finance. Director.
Through the chair of the committee, this is the last of these pieces, specifically for citywide contracts for unarmed security services and document shredding for a period of 1 year with 2 one-year renewals through a fully competitive process.
Thank you. Councilman Slife.
I would like to make my final amendment of the day. I move to amend the legislation by inserting at the end of Section 3, the Director of Finance, as appropriate, shall provide written notice to the Clerk of Council whenever any purchase is made under this section, which notice shall include the details of any such cooperative purchases.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Councilman Harsh has seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, I'll call the question. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. 608-2026 as amended stands approved. Thank you, Commissioner. This is a council piece by Councilman Christopher Harsh. I know the Finance Director will probably want to weigh into this. I will tell you that the amendments, the new one? Okay, so we do have another amendment that has been proffered. What we doing? Councilman Harsh, if you could tee us up.
Mr. President, the piece as drafted by me and our law team came back to us with an amendment from the administration. I edited the amendment so that it is reflective of our intention here. So I know that it's still showing online, but it's not what I plan to propose to pass today. So what I've handed you, Council President, and the law over there, is the amendment as I'd like to proffer it.
Okay.
Could I speak on the piece first?
Yes, we could, but just for a point of clarification, there's a pretty lengthy amendment. We don't need to read that. We just need to make sure it's attached to the.
Well, Mr. President, so can I
Yeah, why don't you go ahead,
walk
Chris.
us through this?
Walk
This
us through
won't
it.
take long. Let me just walk through. And we do have a guest in the audience that wanted to speak on this as well. I don't know if you want them
Please
to speak
let
first
them come up.
or if you want them to speak
No,
after.
let them come up. I'd rather clear up the language so that we could just get into the. Yeah, let's do that.
I talked to our law department this morning about the change that I'm proffering, and they said it was okay.
Okay.
So, do you want our guest to speak first, then we'll talk about this?
All right, go ahead. Go ahead.
Thanks, Council President. My name is Sean Watterson. I'm co-owner of the Happy Dog, a live music venue in Gordon Square, and I also head up the Cleveland Independent Venue Association. So those are the small, locally owned, independent live music and comedy venues in town. I'm sorry? Oh, yeah. And yeah.
About 5 years ago.
I know. Would love to have you back. With the chairman's permission, I have an economic impact and condition study.
Thank you.
And recommendations. Thank you.
We give it, and Nez can pass it out.
Okay, sorry about that. Just the gist of it is, it shows that the small independent music venues have a big economic impact in the city. Total economic output, now these numbers are for the county, but the majority of this is City of Cleveland, is over $1 billion in total economic output, $450 million in wages and benefits. We support over 6,100 jobs. If you flip over to the next page, you'll see that the economic condition of our industry, 75% of us lost money in 2024. So we are very appreciative of the proposal to exempt the small live music and comedy venues from the admissions tax. We're anchors in the neighborhoods. We're in Gordon Square, the Beachland Ballroom in the Waterloo Arts District, the Foundry now in Old Brooklyn, the smaller ones like Spotlight Cleveland, Little Rose, No Class. We really do feel like we're contributors both to the economy and to the culture of the city, so we really appreciate Councilman Harsh's introduction of this proposed exemption and appreciate the consideration for it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Harsh.
So, thank you, Mr. Chair, and I appreciate Mr. Watterson coming here today to share the data that he's compiled. This is where the idea originated from. So, just for my colleagues, last year in 2025, the city collected $341,000 from venues with capacities between 150 and 750 people, okay? That was $341,000 of the admission tax that totaled $26,325,000. So it was 1.3% of admissions tax collected in 2025 came from venues that have between 150 and 750. Now those venues are paying 4%, everybody else is paying 8%. They got a break when this was introduced 20 years ago. My proposal to drop them down to zero means that we would lose that $341,000. It's about 1.3% of 2025's collected revenue, and in 2026's projected revenue, it's 1.1%. So we're talking less than 1.5% of collected revenues, no matter how you slice the apple. The administration suggested, and I agree with them, that we currently there were 2 strip clubs, for lack of a better term, who were also getting this reduced rate, and we are going to, in an amendment, carve them out of the exemption, so they will keep paying their $25,000, okay? We're actually gonna carve them out of the 4% rate, so they would double. They would actually pay $50,000, which will help soften some of the blow to the city. But for perspective, one Cavs game, I ran the math on Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. They have just shy of 20,000 seats. 4,250 are in Loudville, and they're cheap seats. They're about $150 for a playoff ticket. 15,000 are lower bowl. They're the expensive seats. They're about $250 for a playoff game. That means that one Cavs playoff game generates $4.3 million in ticket sales. At 8% tax, that's $351,000 in collected sales tax from one Cavs playoff game. More than all the small venues in Cleveland combined for a year, okay? So all we have to do as a city is protect the ball, stop turnovers, and make our free throws, win a few more games, and the Cavs will more than pay for this, okay? This is what I'm saying is this is pennies on the dime compared to the impact of what they have on the culture in Cleveland. So the administration had some amendments, and I am honoring those amendments with one big exception. The second amendment that they had, which is geared towards the strip club, continued on to change the entire thing, not from a 0% tax rate, but to a $15,000 tax credit, which would only save venues $96,000. I want to save them the full $341,000. So I simply deleted everything below the definition of strip club from the second amendment. I talked to our lawyers this morning. They said it looked like I did it the right way. So the amendments that I've handed out today are remarkably similar, except they eliminate the administration's idea of a tax credit and keep it at a 0%, while still preventing strip clubs from claiming the exemption. Does that make sense to folks?
No.
No. Okay, I'll try again. So currently, any venue under 150,000 pays zero tax. Any venue below 150 pays zero tax. This is the current law. No, this is the current law. We've been living this way for decades. Any venue between 150 and 750 pays 4% tax. Any venue over 750 pays 8% tax. Okay? My legislation today says that any venue under 750 pays 0% tax. Okay? So the 0% ceiling goes from 150 to 750. And then over 750, everybody keeps paying 8%, which is 99% of all taxes collected anyway. Under that 150 ceiling, there's a number of strip clubs that have under 150 capacity in the city. There are 2 that have more than 150. And it's, if you want to know, it's Larry Flint's Hustler Club and the Gold Horse on St. Clair. Because those 2 clubs have more than 150 capacity, they pay the 4% tax. Okay? So the administration sent us an amendment that defines strip club in the admission tax legislation, and then further will remove them from the exempted list. So they will not be exempt from taxes. Is this making sense to everybody?
I got it.
Even if it's under 150, this is the Yeah, and I can read it if you want. We can decide if we want to vote on it.
Hold on, I know Councilman Starr wants to ask a question, but I want to make sure that we get clarification or hear what the finance director said before.
So through the chair to the councilman, just one correction on that. Anything under 150 still is exempt.
Okay.
Based on that amendment.
Okay, there you go. So these two clubs would be the only ones that are affected by the change.
All right.
Through the chair to the councilman, that's correct.
Okay.
All right, Councilman Starr had a question?
No, I just want to make sure, so are we targeting the strip clubs and now making them do something that they wasn't paying? Or are they receiving the same amendment for their services as well? What is the actual change when you hear
So,
those two different things?
Am I allowed to read the language without reading it into the record? Can I read it into the record, then we discuss this?
All right.
Mr. President, would that be appropriate?
Go ahead.
All right. So, Mr. President, I'd like to proffer 3 amendments, and then we can discuss those amendments. Amendment 1, in the title, line 3, strike section 105.03 as amended by ordinance number 30517 passed April 24th, 2017, and insert sections 195.01 and 195.03 as amended by various ordinances. Okay. That's just clerical. Number 2, in section 1, after read as follows, insert new sections to read as follows. This will be a new section under 195.01 definitions. Following the definition for J, taxpayer, we're going to insert a new definition, K. The new definition is strip club, means any place, venue, club, cabaret, bar, lounge, theater, or other establishment that regularly features live nude, semi-nude, or topless dancing, erotic dancing, or other substantially similar adult-oriented live entertainment as defined in section 347.07 of the Codified Ordinances of Cleveland, Ohio, 1976. That ends the second amendment. The third amendment, in section 1, at amended section 195.03, after division H4, insert a new division I, which reads as follows. I, notwithstanding any provision in this chapter to the contrary, no admission to a strip club shall be eligible for any exemption, reduced rate, waiver, or other preferential tax treatment under this chapter. Mr. President, that is all language that was sent to us precisely from the administration with just the deleted alteration of my intent for this legislation.
Okay.
Law is
We have
shaking
a
their head in
second.
agreement.
You have a second?
I will second.
Councilman Slife has seconded. We will move to discussion. Councilman Slife has discussion, and Councilman Starr.
I'll defer to Councilman Starr since he had asked questions
Councilman
first.
Starr.
Thank you. So within this change, because we read it, the strip clubs will not receive the tax break exemption, right?
Through the chair, that is the intent, yes.
So what is the intention of targeting the strip clubs?
Through the chair, they've always been charged. They remain stagnant. They don't change.
So their don't change, or did it change to now that they have to pay more in taxes? That's what I'm confused at.
Through
Like
the chair, I would
currently
ask the finance director to address. This was from the administration. This language comes from the
So
administration.
through the chair to the councilman, so the idea is that they would continue to pay the 4%, not up the tax, but continue to pay what they've been paying. My conversations with the councilman, you can correct me if I'm misstating, but that this legislation is meant to promote specifically comedy, music, theater, smaller venues to promote them specifically, and that's why the strip clubs were excluded.
So I just don't want to see, just for our clarification of the changes that we're looking to do, that we don't see that as a part of people who have businesses in the city to feel as if they were targeted and excluded compared to someone else who possibly have a numerous amount of seats. I'm not talking about your different type of entertainment that you provide. Entertainment is entertainment, whether you're family-oriented, whether you're adult entertainment, certain entertainment is a part of entertainment. So within this amendment or within this ordinance, we're saying that even if they have less than 150 seats, even if they have less than 750 seats, or whatnot, they still have to pay their 4%, but we're just now getting ready to pass something where we're going to change it for other venues who possibly have the amount of seating to become exempt. That's what I'm just trying to make sure, are we saying, well, since you have this type of entertainment, you have to pay 4%, but since we have this other type of entertainment, you excluded from having to pay that percentage, and we allow other big wigs to carry over and bear the burden of the money that you will possibly have, because we're giving you a break because of your type of entertainment versus that. And that's what I'm trying to get a clarification on there. Are we saying that, hey, just because they provide this certain entertainment, they will not be excluded, but these other ones who provide certain type of entertainment that others may want to go to are excluded? Is that what we're doing?
So through the chair to the councilman, if I can correct one thing, under 150, nobody pays admissions tax, so that's remaining the same. So those taxes are not going up. We're not targeting any specific business, in a negative way. We're looking at businesses that, most need that assistance in terms of the admission tax. And so we're looking at comedy and music, but for the strip clubs, their taxes will not go up above what they're paying now. It's just promoting these comedy, music, and theater venues, these smaller venues that are burgeoning, and that was the idea in our correspondence with the councilman.
And then when the ideal, thank you to the chair, within that ideal of trying to make sure those comedy and those venues of the nature that you just described can have tax admission relief, right? Once the administration's seen it, you notice that if we don't put this language in there, those other entertainment and venues will receive the same benefit, right? Through the chair?
So through the chair to the councilman, we brought this up as an amendment, again, through our conversations for council to debate. So this is what we're proposing. I mean, obviously, council can weigh in any way they'd like. We're not trying to disenfranchise any kind of business whatsoever. We're just trying to promote those that need the help the most.
Yes, and that's my whole thing is just the venues of just overall. Entertainment is entertainment. It varies on age and family oriented. Me, I don't want to see that certain business entrepreneurs feel targeted because of the type of business that they provide. Rather, all like it or not, if we're going to do this and we say we're going to give relief to admission tax for certain type of venues, and if we amend this and not to exclude certain ones, then it seems for me as if it's more so targeted than what the council person actually intentions was when he introduced it for this. So that I just don't want to get in a situation where some folks can feel as if they were targeted because they could have been just not brought up and it could have been just passed based on the way the council person happened. But then the administration made recommendations saying, hey, if this passed, these people are going to be exempt as too well. And then we saying, well, no, they need to pay they need to pay. And that's where it gets shaky at for me. Just processing that. Like, just because I have an entertainment late night venue in the flats and it's a strip club, admission tax or not, if you're changing it to be able to help support the businesses, well, why should I be excluded just because of the type of service I have? Or if I'm being excluded because that's where I'm confused at. Just to make sure, because I don't want to be the ones having to get no calls about certain things from certain folks and individuals where I have friends who do different type of businesses all throughout the city. And if they feel targeted, there's going to be something that we did without thinking about them as well.
I'll come back to you, Councilman Harsh. I got Councilwoman Santana and Councilman Conwell.
Okay, a little confused, but maybe I do got it. So the list of these businesses offer comedy, live music, entertainment, right? Which for me is very different than a strip club, right? So for me, the only way I will vote on this is if we're not giving benefits to strip clubs. I'm not going to be a part of that. So for me, I do approve on the recommendation of the administration. So I just want to say that I've done a lot of research on strip clubs, and there's a lot of human trafficking that happens through strip club, and I will be damn, I would say, to put my name on part of a legislation that gives tax credits to strip clubs. So am I right? So under 150, zero. So if strip clubs are under 150, they get zero tax break. What we're saying is 150 to 750, which includes 2 strip clubs, would not be part of this tax benefit. Correct? Okay, thank you.
Thanks for the clarification. Councilman Kevin Conwell.
I see where you're going with the legislation, but with the strip clubs, and we when you look at them, how did they get pulled out? They are entertainment as well. I don't go to them. Let me clarify that. But through the chair, how did they get put? They're entertainment as well to some people, and it's kind of like what Councilman Starr saying. You kind of, if you're going to not give them the same kind of break, and you're not saying, and you're just telling me because they're strip clubs, you're not giving me any supporting evidence of why. You know, you see what I'm saying? And so I don't understand that part. I like the legislation because I know businesses need a break and we need to stimulate the Happy Dog and the other businesses, but how do you exclude them? And I don't know the why. You see what I'm saying?
I'm going to give Councilman Hart back to the floor because he can probably explain that since that's his state sponsor.
You can tell me the why.
Yeah. So, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Just for clarification, I want to make sure not all of the strip clubs are the ones that are going to be affected. If I'm looking, the only two, so what the councilwoman just stated, are the two that would actually be the ones that would be affected.
Through the chair, I think it would be good for everybody to understand, too, that the zero tax for under 150 is not an exemption from the tax. The tax law was written not to include 150. That's not an exemption category. So it's not like by removing strip clubs from this particular legislation, they somehow pay taxes for the under 150. The under 150 was never taxed, period, ever for anything, anywhere, no matter what you do. But I do have to, following up on Councilwoman Santana's very prescient point, point out that strip clubs have always been treated separately. They're zoned separately. They are always 21 and over. And while there might be some 21 and over shows down at the Happy Dog, there are some shows that are all ages. You would never take your child to the strip club, and if you do, shame on you. Okay? So no strip club is the anchor of an entertainment district in the neighborhood. We have special zoning set up in the city where they're allowed to operate. It's basically the Flats, Brook Park Road. I think there's something up there on the Upper East Side. When I drove a cab, I knew where all the strip clubs in town were, but it's been 25 years and I forgot. But there's special zoning because we've always treated them separately and differently because they are different. It's not the same as a theater where you just go in and they're doing a show and this one just happens to be topless. That said, I've had friends who've worked in the dancing industry, and I appreciate it. If you want to go in and take money from old guys, then go take money from old guys. That's fine. I have not moral objection to the operation of those clubs. The idea behind this legislation was to empower our local venues that provide local jobs, that have local music, that are the places that create culture, that everybody can go to, that people can enjoy and walk down the street and hear music pouring out at night. This is a beautiful thing that every city should have. I wanted to try to figure out a way to help them. They have never recovered from COVID. Ever since, people stayed home for an entire year and a half, and live music and venues have had trouble getting back up to their pre-COVID levels, and this is a way, as Mr. Watterson aptly pointed out, 75% are still losing money. This is a way to soften the economic hardship on these clubs that are in Detroit Shoreway and in Collinwood and in University Circle and in Old Brooklyn, acting as anchors in our community. And so I appreciate that Councilman's very, very, I would say, egalitarian argument about, we don't want to pick on one business owner over the other. I would simply remind everybody that all but two will remain tax exempt because the admission tax was never written for anybody under 150. And the two that have been paying will continue to pay the same amount. They're not being targeted or picked out. It's just that we are focusing on the venues that are open, that I can take my daughter in and have a hot dog and listen to some music on a Thursday night. I'm not taking her to the strip club, right? That we just have to understand that these are very different business interests, and that is who I'm trying to help here. If we want to have another conversation someday about a different type of entertainment venue, I'm happy to have that conversation. But I think this is a very good piece that supports our economy, it supports our culture, supports our neighborhoods, and I think it does very, very little. And thank you to the Cavs last night for winning. We'll have a few more playoff games in Cleveland. We will obliterate the loss to the admissions tax collection because of that. So thank you, Dan Gilbert, for putting together a winner.
Go ahead, you want to finish up?
You know what? That's what I needed to hear. Their nature is different. And through the chair, that's the way it's narrated, right? You have a strip club, you write it down with their nature, what it's for, and then you have the other venues, Happy Dog, their nature is totally different than the other one. And that could be your argument, because I don't want to discriminate. Although I want the Happy Dog. You got a cool place, man. I gigged there some years ago in the back room part. When you go in, you go in the back, you got the stage, you got everything hooked up. I gigged there, man. It was cool. We did some blues. It was cool beans. So I like this spot. It's real clean. You keep it together. The whole 9 yards. I like it a lot. So since you told me the nature is different, the way they put it together, then that's good. Now, I want to say this as a sidebar. I know I shouldn't say it, Council President. There's nothing bad. With the strip clubs, is some kind of way when we get their money, and it's for another day, that we could take that 4% and use it for children and for the arts, for the children. Think about that, because I'll come to you later this summer about that. We take the 4%, since we're doing that, and we use it to stimulate the arts and cultivate young people. Because we are the home of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and I want to stimulate some young children.
Mr. Watterson had a point, and then I know that Councilman's life is up.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah, thank you, Council President. Just, I was here, sorry.
But you didn't let him answer my question.
That's why I got him up.
Okay, cool.
So you can answer your question and do that. Then I got Slife and then Star back on.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I was fortunate to be in this room back in 2012 when we did the lowering of the admissions tax. The intent then was targeted at live music and comedy. The application ended up being more broad than just live music and comedy. But we were here with Hank Lacani when he had the Agora. It was an independent club, and Peabody's and the Beachland. So just that bit of history in terms of where the original 4% exemption came from. It was intended for live music and comedy at the time in 2012 when we testified then.
Thank you. I have Councilman Richard Starr.
No, my context is just was right, whether you like the entertainment or not. If they're being taxed, we can't try to make a law to just exclude them when we're going to give everybody else breaks. And like it or not, that is something that is coming to our general fund. So I definitely will ask, do we have a dollar amount on these so-called two businesses that will not receive a break other than what's presented on this? How much revenue do we get from those two venues? And is those the only two that would be affected through this change, through the chair?
So through the chair to the councilman, that's the sheet that I handed out, or had handed out to all the council members. It's a list of all the affected venues.
So that would be, through the chair, that would be the Larry Flint one, right?
Through the chair to the councilman, that's correct, and also the Gold Restaurant, Gold Horse.
Gold Horse? And then within those two establishments, nothing else in the city under that type of entertainment is excluded?
Through the chair to the councilman, that's correct.
And then everybody else on this list will pay the same 4%? Or they be exempt to zero, right?
So through the chair to the councilman, based on what the administration submitted and what the councilman submitted are two different things. Based on what the councilman submitted, everyone would be exempt. What we submitted was a $15,000 tax credit so that any venue that's healthier and has grown in revenues would still share in the admissions tax, but would get the first $15,000 as a credit. So essentially everybody get a $15,000 break until they were what we would call successful, and then they would start paying admissions tax.
Yep, and then just from that context, when COVID happened, it ain't like certain venues were still open, everything was shut down, right? So everybody has struggled to be able to maintain. And even from that struggle, you go downtown right now during lunch hours, there's not a lot of people eating at the restaurants. When you go downtown for a Cavs game, we got so many problems that we're dealing with, from parking not being accessible for people to park to be able to entertain themselves at the bars or the restaurants. Then we have lack of parking garages or parking spaces for people to go to those venues, and therefore those owners have to bear the struggle of maintaining, staying open on their backs. But then we say, hey, well, we're going to exempt and give tax breaks to certain venues and not include all. And that's where it seems questionable to me. And rather you have certain zoning, rather you have certain rules and regulations. I understand safety and I understand those things, but if we're trying to make sure businesses are staying within service and maintaining their businesses. And we're going to say, due to the fact that you have this certain type of entertainment that I might not like, whether you like it or not, other folks are paying into there, and then we get their tax revenue. We don't get a chance to determine which money we get from people, yes or not. If it's a legitimate business, it's open with their best practice, whether it's for you or adults or not. Us just saying we're going to give others who possibly may fall in the same tier as far as tax break, and then just exclude them, just seems to me as a sign of targeting as well. So that's just my own two thoughts. I do support the legislation that Councilman Harsh initially put up, but when I just see a business being targeted, two businesses, whether they like the entertainment or not, I just felt that is unfair just to target these two when we should just do it all together. If this is only two businesses that's going to be impacted. The minute one of these things close down, one of these things close down, everyone's going to be talking about, it's an eyesore, it's this, it's a problem. And that's where I'm confused at on how we can just say, let's exclude these two, but everybody else get a tax break.
So
And I yield, Chair.
there's a discussion on the floor, and what we're going to do now is I think we've had enough discussion on this. We are now going to call the question.
No, but you didn't let him finish telling me about that 4% that.
Tell me about the 4%.
And maybe we could talk later about it, help the children out. Just move right along, bam. And I need that for the kids, through the chair.
Yeah, so through the chair to the councilman, I mean, that's general fund money that's currently going to the general fund. I mean, we can talk generally about programs that you want to fund. I'm happy to have that conversation.
And you set a fund up for it, and then we could benefit the children, so we'll talk. And I just want to put it on the record, Mr. President. It's about arts for the children. It keeps them off of the streets, the whole damn yard.
Right. And Councilman,
So I'll talk with you
I know
about
you're a
that.
big supporter of that. We all support that. It's just one of the things is this money does go to the general funds, and some of the programs that you've been very successful at putting in place at Rainey and all of that
You know,
come
I
from
try
all
to
that.
get much as I can, Mr. President,
I
for
know,
the children.
but what I'm saying is this is only a small piece, but
If I can get a nickel, it'll help me out.
all right. We're going to call the question on the amendment. Calling the question on the amendment. All in favor say aye.
Hold on,
Any-
which amendment?
This is the amendment that Councilman,
Okay.
if we could clarify the amendment just to make sure, to read it one more time, Councilman Harsh,
Yeah,
so that
Ms.
we can make sure that everybody's
Mr.
clear.
Chair,
on
the
what-
amendment is, the first one is to amend the title, clarifying the sections. The second one adds the definition of strip club, and the third one is the notwithstanding any provision of this chapter, the contrary, no admission to a strip club shall be eligible for the exemption, reduced rate waiver, or other preferential tax treatment under this chapter. In other words, that keeps them at the 4% instead of being exempt down to 0.
All right. Therefore, that's the amendment that's been put forth and been seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
All right, the ayes have it. Therefore, the amendment carries. Any more comments that you would like to make in closing remarks as 469-2026 as amended?
Mr. Chair, I want to thank all my colleagues for supporting the arts, for supporting live music in the city of Cleveland. We are the capital of rock and roll for a reason. Let's rock out. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Seeing no other questions, ordinance number 469-2026 as amended stands approved.
All right. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Watterson.
Thank you.
All right, last piece is from HR. This is another bargaining unit agreement. And this is ordinance number 663-2026 by Councilmember Griffin by departmental request, an emergency ordinance approving the collective bargaining agreement with the Association of Federal, State, County, and Municipal Employees, AFSCME. Just note that you do have a misspelling where it says AFSME. It should be AFSCME. Local 100, and to amend Section 8 of Ordinance Number 194-2021 passed March 19th, 2021, as amended, relating to compensation for various classifications. Director.
Thank you, Chair and Committee. Yes, this is a request to ratify contract between the City of Cleveland and AFSCME Local 100, excuse me, and amend the pay band accordingly. Just of note, this is the largest bargaining unit with the City of Cleveland. There's approximately 952 employees in this bargaining unit currently. A lot of work put into this contract. Of note, which I'm usually asked about, the general increase was 3% across the board, and then there were several positions that did get equity increases pursuant to market rates and negotiations between the union and the city. But certainly I'm happy to answer any questions that anybody has.
All right, so this is a standard basic collective bargaining agreement that we approve. Does anybody have any questions regarding 663-2026? All right, seeing no questions, ordinance number 663-2026 will be heard for consideration by the full council this evening. 663-2026, this is the AFSCME collective bargaining agreement. All right, that concludes today.
No other piece?
No.
Okay.
Where'd you, I don't have anything. And
Okay.
I don't have anything else. Yeah. I didn't see the other one. What's the other one? You need to walk away, walk away. Walk away. Say that again. All right, what is it?
It's just to amend 3 positions.
Okay, so there's 3 positions that they're requesting for passage of pay band ordinance. This is Section 37 of the non-bargaining lines number 10 and 11 for chief engineer, civil and chief engineer dash mechanical, changing the pay structure and associated progression to accurately reflect positions pursuant to market review. The next one is Section 39, non-bargaining, line number 8, consulting engineer, changing pay structure and association progression to accurately reflect position and pursuant to market review. Those are the pieces of legislation that we have, but we don't have a number.
Chair, I think she said it was
652?
Yeah, 652.
Okay, ordinance number 652-2026. Could you just go through that again, if you could?
Sure, Chairman, real quickly. So this is part of the same review that civil service and HR has been doing over time. Part of a career ladder. Previously, we had come to the committee with 2 positions, the associate engineer and the engineer, which are actually local 100 positions. These are the next 2 that are non-bargaining in the career ladder. So the chief civil engineer and then the consulting engineer. The chief civil engineer has 2 different positions. It's, civil and mechanical chief engineers, and then the consulting engineer. So we looked at the market, changed the position. Now we're just requesting to change the pay band to be in accordance with the market.
So basically, you just made the position and market commensurate with what the broader market is.
That's correct.
Okay, is there any major fluctuation in salary range?
To the chair, it's not major. For the the chief engineer, civil and mechanical is going from 109,500 to 120,000. So it's about a $10,000 increase on the maximum. And then for the consulting engineer, the maximum is going from 123 to 140. One note I would make related to engineers, they're very, very difficult to recruit.
Right.
And the market is very tight. And without a higher salary range to offer, it'll be very difficult to recruit engineers.
I'm very aware of that. That's the reason that I asked that, and that's the reason why I'm supportive of that. It would have been, I wish I would have got it in a cleaner way, but I'm supportive of that. Any questions regarding 652-2026? Seeing no other questions, ordinance number 652-2026 will be heard for consideration of the full council this evening. That concludes today's Finance, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee. Next meeting will not be until June the 2nd, and it will be the entire committee of the whole. Thank you.